Welcome back to Straight Facts. It's Friday. Husam is back with us again. We had a little break last week because I had to be a father and take my kids to a Christmas fair, and nobody else was here to run the show. But it's great to have you back this week, mate. How are you? You well?
I'm good. Alhamdulillah. Happy to be back here again, with no one else to trigger. I'd rather just be here one-on-one, just talk football. So thank you for paying me to be here, Terry. I appreciate it. Massive platform, the Football Terrace. So I appreciate it. And I can confirm I'm not in my underwear. Currently wearing a hoodie and some pants because it's cold as hell. It's really cold.
When you say pants, in England, pants means underwear. So you mean trousers, right?
Trousers, yes. Trousers.
Want to make sure the viewers know what you mean. I love it. Lots to talk about today. Of course, we'll be very briefly, very quickly discussing that little game on Sunday between Liverpool and Man United. No one's that interested in that, really. So we'll be skirting over that pretty quickly. We'll be looking at Arsenal, their game against Brighton, but more importantly, the targeting of them, the agenda that the FA has admitted it has against them. Really, really intrigued to get your views and opinions on that, plus the live viewers. But I want to start today with Chelsea. This show earlier on today that goes out tomorrow on Rumble with Don that speaks about Chelsea. That's on our Rumble channel, exclusive to Rumble. But he sort of said something to me, and a lot of other Chelsea fans have said this, and I wanted to get your views, that if Chelsea fail to beat Sheffield United this weekend, they want Poch gone. Do you understand that standpoint, that view from them? Do you agree with them that if he doesn't beat Sheffield United, bottom of the league, if he draws or loses, by the way, he could end up in 14th position this weekend if Bournemouth, who are behind them, they're playing Luton at home, and if Wolves win. If Bournemouth and Wolves win and Chelsea fail to, 14th in the league. If that happens, do Chelsea have to look to sack Poch?
First of all, I don't feel bad for Chelsea or Chelsea fans at all, considering the hot garbage coming out their mouth last summer. And second of all, as I told you all summer long, this is the absolute worst fan base to start this whole young process with. And it's been proven literally within the first 3-4 months of the season. I don't think sacking Poch would solve any single thing at that football club. It's literally just like hitting the reset button. This is just the ultimate reality. Regardless who you want to get in, whichever manager you want to get in, the reality is your average age of the squad is 16. They all need time, and time is money in the Premier League. You all need time, and you need time to get results. I think you left your transfer window short without signing a striker or a goalkeeper, two positions you can't mess with. The biggest culprit as to why stuff are happening right now like this at Chelsea is Todd Bowley. I feel like Chelsea fans sometimes are way too afraid to call out their ownership group. The reality is the ownership group is the reason why they're in this position, because the ownership group's decisions ever since he's walked in, Todd Bowley needs to understand that this is not the baseball. I forgot what's called, MLB. This is not the MLB where you can just build a young squad and stuff like that. Sometimes they do it in the NBA as well. They do it in the NFL and they're successful. You can't do that in football. You cannot skip the process. In football, there is a process. Or there's another thing you could do, which is buy ready-made world-class players. So it's either one of two things. Either you buy youngsters, what Chelsea done, and or buy world-class proven talent, let's say whoever has done, maybe for example Man United when they were successful and stuff. Chelsea in the Mourinho years, the first 2-3 years at the club, after that Carlo and stuff, just buy ready-made world-class players that can make a difference. And I look at this Chelsea squad right here, right now, and I'm like, okay, let me think about it. First of all, they will lose to Sheffield because Sheffield is the antithesis of Chelsea. It's the exact thing.
You think they'll lose?
Chelsea cannot handle. Yes, because Sheffield. Wow. What will Sheffield do? What will Sheffield do? Doesn't take a genius, park the bus and work to get a goal on set pieces. Isn't that what Chelsea hate? To ask any Chelsea fan, forget me, they'll tell you I'm a Liverpool fan, I hate Chelsea. Ask any Chelsea fan right here, right now, they'll tell you we can't break down low blocks. Because Sheffield are not going to come to Stamford Bridge to attack. Chris Wilder's going to have them play a low block. By the way, Chris Wilder just beat Brentford 1-0. Brentford is a well-respected team in this Premier League, mid-table club that everyone's worried about when the game happens, and they just beat them 1-0. Sheffield are going to park the bus, and they are exactly what Chelsea hate to play against. A set-piece team, a team that parks the bus. Now, if you're telling me Poch shouldn't have Chelsea in 14th, Poch shouldn't have Chelsea in this position, I'd agree with you. Yes, Poch should not have Chelsea in this position. At the same time, I've said it about my own manager and Pep and everyone. I think if you get Pep Guardiola in tomorrow, you still don't finish top 4. You said 5th or 6th is the ultimate max you could get. And that's because of the lack of experience. You signed 20-something players over the last year and a half, 2 years. That's an insane amount. That's doing too much in a short space of time. There is no age. There's no age in the squad where players are experienced, come in and make a difference. I mean, they're looking at Nkunku as an experienced player, and he's about 25, 26. That tells you all you need to know. And the reality is, in the English Premier League, and to be honest, I don't even think it's the English Premier League. In football in general, you need experience to win things. I'm going to give you an example. When Chicharito first came to Manchester United, he was looked at as a talent. He was looked at as not necessarily the best striker in the world, but he was looked at as a talent. But when Chicharito came in, Robin van Persie was there, Wayne Rooney was there. This is the difference between the Chelsea situation right now. Enzo, Caicedo, and Lavia are coming in without a Kante to guide them, without a Jorginho to guide them, without any experienced heads. So sacking Poch is simply just going to hit the reset button on this whole process and probably prolong it even further, to be honest with you. The only fix for Chelsea is to sign, and I mean this, I'm not even bantering, is to sign 3 30-year-olds in this January window. You need experienced heads who have been there, done that. You need an experienced player, you need experience, you need a striker, you need positions like that. You cannot just neglect it, to be honest.
I need a James Milner.
Can I just make one final point? Watching Chelsea Football Club this season, it's not Poch's fault that not a single forward can make a right decision on the football pitch. Like it's actually insane. Mudryk at Old Trafford probably had the ball in the counter-attack 3-4 times and fucked up every single one of them. That's a player Arsenal wanted, so you can't even say anything. Nicholas Jackson, whoever made that decision, you need to be looking at him. The fact that Raheem Sterling is looked at as the best Chelsea forward right now tells you all you need to know, and this is supposed to be his quote-unquote retirement. So, yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, I listen, I understand where you're coming from, and I think that whatever they do with Poch, they must. And I was actually reading a snippet from something Ben Jacobs said yesterday, which was that Poch hasn't at any point lost the dressing room. He says here quite the opposite. There is a real respect for the Chelsea boss, who carries far more authority in the dressing room than Graham Potter did. And I don't think he has lost the dressing room per se. I do agree with you that they need to buy more experience with or without Poch. However, at the same time, this squad is still good enough to not sit 12th, 13th, 14th in the league. I do believe he has made some mistakes. So the continuation of playing Levi Colwill as a left back. You look at the Man United game where Colwill started at left back and he put Cucurella, that's been in good form at left back, in a right back position, and it didn't quite work out for him. His tactical approach in that game to try and sit back against us and let us have the ball was crazy, because everybody knows Man United's genuine kryptonite is either you can do that if you've got electrifying counterattacks and you're prolific. Chelsea are not prolific. But the thing we hate the most is being pressed deep in our own box. That absolutely kills us, and he didn't do it. So I understand there's a balancing act here of how much would any manager struggle with. So I think any manager is two things that have gone wrong at Chelsea that I thought they addressed it better in the summer, but it hasn't been enough. Is too many new players in a short space of time. I think we've had a few debates on Straight Fact shows in recent times where people spoke about overhauling a squad in 1, maybe 2 windows. I think it's a preposterous idea. There is too much change. There's not enough relationships, not enough chemistry, not enough continuity. And there's not enough examples in the world where selling 20-odd players and buying 20-odd players works in a very short space of time. Plus, they need older players. Those two things have definitely gone wrong. At the same time, to be sitting there looking at this league table now, for Mauricio Pochettino, when you look at the turnaround, and Liverpool have more experienced players. Villa have some older players, there's no doubt. But when you look at the turnaround of Aston Villa, you look at the turnaround of Tottenham, even look at what happened to Newcastle for being a team in relegation to just over a year later qualifying for the Champions League, I still think there should be pressure on Poch to perform better, because I still am sitting there thinking to myself, potentially being in 14th position, if your prediction comes right this weekend, They should be much higher than that. I still think they should be inside the top 8. If they don't win this weekend, it's only 5 wins in 17 games this season, which is, when you consider how bad Man United have been, we've got 9 wins still. Only in the Premier League, only the top 4. City have 1 more win than us on 10, and Liverpool, Arsenal, and Villa have the most on 11. You guys have only got 2 more wins than us, which is crazy when you actually deep it. But for them to be sitting there on 5 wins, 5. It's terrible. And if they continue in this vein for the second half of the season, you think about how they're already nearly 20 points behind you. They're nearly 20 points behind.
Oh, they can't catch us.
Arsenal. But it's not about catching you. Imagine you spread that out over the course. Imagine finishing 40 to 50 points behind clubs like Arsenal that are your rivals. That isn't just experience to me. So I do think Poch is under a little bit of pressure. I really, really do. Someone says here I'm being shameless. I'm not being shameless. I'm pointing out how bad Man United have been, how awful we've been, but yet we have still been exponentially better than Chelsea overall. Your football is prettier than ours. But at the end of the day, I'd still rather be Man United than Chelsea right now. I've had that argument all year. I'd still rather be higher up the league than lower down it. But yeah, look.
And speaking of experience, by the way, it's actually your experienced players that has pulled you through a couple of games. McTominay is not a youngster. McTominay is an experienced player. So is Maguire. So is the multiple players who performed for you this season. Experience matters in this league. And I don't think Chelsea got enough of that. And they just did too much. There is something. Arsene Wenger said it when he was a manager. He said, listen, sometimes it's addition by subtraction. And there is something called adding too much. This is why, like, for us, even as Liverpool, okay, it's fair enough. You sold Henderson, Milner, and, the older heads. But we didn't sell Salah, Van Dijk, Thiago, Trent, every single experienced player and just replace them with a young squad just because we want to rebuild. The problem is Chelsea let go of too many players. This is the reality. They needed some experienced heads in there, people who know the club, people who can help out this team. But problem is there's no one now of that age or of that ilk who can help around in the dressing room or on the football pitch or etc., which is the problem. And okay, let's say they sack Poch tomorrow. Whoever they get in has a job from hell on his hands, because how are they going to fix this?
And I'm sure we're going to get onto this with Man United as well. When we spoke about this on the squad, the show that we do with Rumble that goes out tomorrow morning, people. If you guys ain't watching it, go check it out. The Squad on Rumble. And one of the points that I raised is, like, Man United fans talk about sacking the manager. Who do you want? And Diego Simeone's name will come up, and Zidane's name will come up. And I'm sort of Chelsea fans who still think through the lens of Roman, just go and get the best manager in the world that's available, because they used to do that. Is that attainable?
And will he accept working with your top players?
Right now, I don't listen unless you offer. And Roy Keane brought this up on the overlap the other day. It was a very interesting point where we spoke about the deals that managers take. Yes, you could throw all the money in the world at Zidane, and you could, if you said £50 million a year, he might agree to come and manage you. But the problem is, he said it isn't the money that's a bad deal at clubs. I'm paraphrasing Roy Keane here. He said it's the structure of the deal, the control you have, the process of the club, the culture of the club, what you can and cannot change. And he said the amount of managers he knows and people he knows in football that have taken managerial jobs because the money's good, but it's actually been a bad deal, and they're set up for failure before they even begin. And that's what the elite managers, unless you paid them like ridiculous money, they'll look at a situation like Chelsea, they'll look at a situation like Man United and say, do I want to risk my reputation having one arm tied behind my back, standing on one leg, trying to win a 100-meter sprint? It's going to be impossible. And I think that we have to be realistic. If Poch does lose his job here, Chelsea fans have got to be realistic. To go through Tuchel, Potter to Lampard to Poch, and none of them to work in a 2-year period, it's unlikely with where you are, nearly a decade. You're getting towards a decade without challenging for a Premier League title. The best managers in the world are not going to come to you right now. There comes a point where, as you just said, I love the phrase, I'm just Googled it. I've heard it before, but I never really read about it. Addition by subtraction. To get your club to be better, sometimes you've got to maybe lower standards for a short period of time to rebuild, so that you have a solid platform to grow from. Because if that foundation has been eviscerated, if it doesn't exist anymore, you can't behave how you used to. And this is something Chelsea fans have got. I get the anger that it's been destroyed. Let's just say, like Johnny Middle's about to destroy that club. Cool. You can't go back to what you were without rebuilding it. But you're not going to get a Jose-esque manager come in now to Chelsea. The same as I don't believe Man United could attract a Jose-esque, at his peak, world-class up-and-coming manager that wants to go in there, because the clubs have been run so poorly. By the way, for so long, Chelsea haven't been run poorly for 2 years. Chelsea have been running poorly for even in the latter years of Roman. Yes, they won the Champions League, but every Chelsea fan worth his salt I've ever spoken to was talking about papering over cracks. So there's a lot of building that needs to do. I'm not adverse to them getting rid of Poch, but there has to be a plan and a process of fixing the base problems at the club, which I think go beyond Pochettino. They do. So it's a bit like the Man United argument. It isn't as simple as sack manager, we get better. That Chelsea is done. Chelsea have finished in terms of sacking a manager, hiring somebody new, and suddenly the world changing. And the point you bring up is spot on. They've got too many kids and not enough older players. I made a flippant comment earlier, they need James Milner. Listen, they could do a few James Milner at the age
they
you
do. They do.
Now.
That's the fact.
Not right now, not James Milner now, but James Milner when Liverpool signed him. A player or two like that who have just been, they don't even have to be the best players in the world, just there to help nurture and guide these super talented young players you have, so that all the pressure isn't on the kids. And the great youth teams that we've seen before, Barcelona's that came through recently, Man United's in the 90s, the youth players were the side dishes, they were the condiments, they were the salt and pepper, the salt and vinegar that went on your fish and chips. They weren't the fish. They weren't the main course. And Chelsea are doing it. Chelsea are doing it how Leeds tried to do it. Where the youngsters were the stars and it crumbled. You can't make your young players the stars. You have to buy. You can have one that is a star, but there has to be an elder statesman core group who are your leaders and your backbone. And without it, every manager is going to struggle. But the nuance to the argument is Poch still can't be sitting 14th with his squad. If he ends up there by the end of this weekend, it's crazy.
No, 100%. If he ends up there, I agree with you. But here's, I've got the Chelsea squad in front of me. Sanchez 26, Petrovic 24, Disasi 25, Cucurella 25, Badiashile 22, 24, 26, 20, 20, 21, 22, 24, midfield 22, 19, 20, 23, 22, 19, 19. Forward line 29, that's Sterling, of course. 22, 21, 22, 26, 22, 21, 18. How many under 25 players are on that squad right here, right now? Three quarters of them qualify for the Champions League. You know, in the group stages where they have the Youth Cup, the Youth Champions League thing. Three quarters of them qualify for that Youth Champions League competition. And when you're talking about Zidane and when you're talking about Diego Simeone, now if I open up the Atletico Madrid squad right here, right now, compared in age, or compared, you know, to like in terms of experience to this current.
And that's, I just wanted to say that's key, because even the players like Cucurella that are 25, his experience of being at a big club and under this kind of pressure is non-existent. So he's 25, but what experience does he have at this point? They literally, when you think about their experienced players at the highest level, Raheem Sterling, Thiago Silva, or am I missing anybody else who has been there? It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to get their squad up as well, actually, just so I can see it in front of me. It's a little bit easier when you look at it. But looking at their team here, men's profile. So their goalie, Sanchez, never been at that level. They don't care how old he is. Disasi, nope. Cucurella, no. Badiashile, no. Silva, yes. Chalobah, Ben Chilwell, no. Reece James, he's still young though, so yeah, he don't go in that category yet. Colwell, Gusto, Fafana, Sarr, Enzo. I mean, now Enzo's still young. Mate, you are right. You go through
when you say a name like Simeone, you know the reason why I mentioned age, not to just repeat the experience. I didn't mention it to repeat the experience point again. I mentioned it for a different reason. I've got the Atletico team in front of me right now. Oblak 30, Jimenez 28, Hermoso 28, Soyuncu 27, Savage 32, Witsel 34. You look at all these teams, even Azpilicueta, Rodrigo de Paul, Marcos Llorente, Koke, Saul, it's just Griezmann, Correa, 29, 30, Alvaro Morata, 31, Depay, 29, Diego Simeone, and Antonio Conte, and Zinedine Zidane, and the managers that Chelsea fans have in their mind that could replace Pochettino, they don't work with youngsters. Zidane doesn't have time to coach all these youngsters to become players. Zidane wants 28, 29, 30-year-olds to win the trophies. This is what Zidane does. You need essentially a rebuild manager. And my simple, genuine, constructive criticism is, okay, let's assume you sack Poch tomorrow. Out of all the rebuild managers, who else can rebuild this team then? Who are you going to get? Potter back again.
It's a good, mate. It is a genuine point, and they've got to get that balance right. By the way, you could throw in Kunku into the experience. You know, he was at Leipzig. Obviously, Leipzig are a very good team, Champions League. He was at Paris Saint-Germain as well, and he's 26 years of age. So they've maybe got 3 players who have played at the elite end of the spectrum that are over the age of 25. You start going through that squad, and it lacks winners, it lacks experience, it lacks know-how, and they need to buy that. They need to add that in, irrespective of how bad Poch is or how good he is. If they don't bring that in, nobody is going to. And the thing is, you're never going to develop the team to do that either, because you need to. I want to make sure I say this in the right way. Like, development needs a good environment. So if you're growing. If you want to go and grow some vegetables in your garden, your vegetables need the right kind of soil, the right kind of sunlight, the right kind of shade, the right kind of water. They need to be protected from slugs and snails and other bugs that might get them. There are so many factors that go into growing a healthy, delicious, nutritious batch of vegetables. You can't just put a seed in the ground and say it's gonna flourish when if there's no nutrients in your ground, if there's not enough water, shade, etc. And that's what development of young footballers or young people in general is like. The environment has to be right. And if the environment is, we need you to perform now, even though you're not ready to, you are going to burn most of this talent. You are going to destroy most of this talent. Then it becomes a toxic environment. And when it becomes poisonous and when it becomes toxic, what grows? What grows in poisonous and toxic environments? Nasty things. Nasty things grow in those environments. Yeah, funky, nasty, horrible things grow in those environments. Nothing good ventures from it. And although I'm using an analogy here to plants, I think people get the principle. They've got to bring in the nutrients. They've got to bring in the light and the shade and the protection for these young individuals. We do. There's always buzz around talented youngsters, and I get it, and there should be. But if you don't give them the right environment to be successful in, you'll ruin them. And I know that as a Man United fan. The amount of young players, he's got some talent, whether we buy them like Martial or Sancho, or if we bring them through the academy like Adnan Januzaj or Rashford, none of them have ever met their full potential. Some of that is on the players, no doubt, but a lot of it is the way we've been run as a football club has killed them. So I'm speaking from a position of, when I say authority, experience of what I mean, of witnessing this at my football club. And I don't want Chelsea to be successful. I'm a Man United fan, but I look at it and just say there's so many factors here. I don't want Chelsea fans to delude themselves into, if we sack manager, we get better. That is a basic level of thinking which is not going to help your football club. And I think they need to
and you know what's funny? I've seen so many Chelsea fans talking about bringing back Jose Mourinho. Jose Mourinho didn't have enough patience to deal with a young Salah, young KDB, young Lukaku, who are probably more talented than all the players you have in your squad now, maybe bar Enzo and Caicedo. You think a Jose Mourinho now has time to deal with all this young crap? That's what I'm saying. Even if you want Poch out, I don't think they're looking at the right type, right caliber of manager. Terry just said it. I feel like they're still stuck in that Abramovich bubble. This ain't Abramovich era. This is completely different era. Even if you stack Poch, you're going to get another young, exciting manager who has potential and blah, 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 blah. So that's all you're going to get. So, like, Mourinho ain't going to coach all these youngsters. Mourinho comes in, he's signing 4 32-year-olds literally in January.
No, he is. He's going to, because you need that mixture. There's no doubt about it. Do us a favor, people. Hit like buttons. Please subscribe. Make sure you've got the bell notifications turned on for these shows as well. This here actually says, Don, the process is effing win. That's the aim of elite sport. Also, why, in your opinion, do people not like Lee Gunner's high standards? I was going to say the first few lines there were literally sound like Lee Gunner. The process is to win. That's the aim of elite level sport. Why don't people like Lee Gunner's high standards? That's a question to you, Husam.
I mean, first of all, I've got no problem with what Lee says in terms of, like, if we're looking at the elite clubs, of course, the aim is to win. But there is a process to get to the level in which you start winning. This is just the reality. There's just, unless you just spent a shitload of cash on world-class players, not youngsters, on world-class players, then you have no other opportunity to change stuff around. This thing is with Lee, this is where me and him disagree. The 19 teams that did not win the league did not fail. This is the thing. If Luton finished 17th this season, it's just as successful as Tottenham Hotspur finishing 4th. Because from Luton's perspective, staying in this English Premier League is the success for them. So success is different. It's relevant to the club that you're supporting. Currently, with this shit start to the season. If you give Terry 4th spot, he'd be like, this is a good season compared to what the fuck we've had at the start of the season. For me right now, because Liverpool are top of the league, I'm aiming to win trophies, trying to win stuff. So it really depends. Having elite standards does not mean skipping the process or ignoring the process, because it is a part of it. If I done what Lee is saying I should do, 15, 16, 14, 15 Klopp failed, 15, 16 Klopp failed, 16, 17 Klopp failed, 17, 18 Klopp failed, but that's not the fact. The reality is I saw progress year in, year out. First season, top 4. Second season, top 4 Champions League final. Third season, win the Champions League. Fourth season, win the Premier League. So you've got to be patient, because there is a process that will get you to a certain position. So yeah, that's what I'm saying. You cannot ignore the process. This is just the reality. This is just the reality. Unless you sign world-class players. So Lee would be right had Arsenal last summer signed, Benzema, I don't know, like Mo Salah, KDB and shit. Okay, now you're right. Now if he doesn't win, he's a failure.
Yeah. I think again, it's this process of looking at every club through the same lens, and every club has to have the same expectation and standards. It's not as black and white as that. What's the starting position? So it's a case of, if you've got a team like, let's just leave the big teams out of it right now. Let's just say West Ham. West Ham won a European trophy last year, but in terms of the league, yo-yo team for years. If suddenly they get a new owner that comes in and says, right, I want to make us the best team in England, their starting point is a team that isn't good enough to win the league. So even if they go out and get Zidane as their manager with this team, it's going to take time to add the right players to this squad, to grow the revenues of the football club, to sustain that. Because I saw someone the other day tweet about Ten Hag. I can't remember who tweeted this, but Ten Hag's been linked to Dortmund. Somebody tweeted something along the lines of, he'll love it there because they're another money-saving club with no ambition, and he'll do a good job there. And I looked at it, what do they mean money-saving club that have no ambition? And I kind of get their overall. I read the thread, and it was basically saying they don't spend like Bayern Munich. They don't have the ambition of Bayern Munich. So I just did like 5 minutes research. Bayern Munich generate double the income of Dortmund. Dortmund generate around 400 million a year. Bayern Munich is between 800 to 850 million a year. The amount of money that Dortmund averagely spend on players and spend on wages is around 60% of their turnover. Now, of course, other parts of their turnover have to pay their normal staff. There's obviously lots of costs that go into running football clubs as well, which people want to ignore. If you think about like a match day in the Premier League, Man United might make £2 million of income per match day, but it costs like £800,000 to run a match day with staff and policing and everything else. And that's why net spend's stupid, because people go, well, but what about the players that Dortmund sell? Yes. And that's included in their turnover of their as a business. So including what they sell, they're still only making 400 million a year. So how can they compete? When you actually look at the wage bill, if they were to have the same wage bill as Bayern Munich, they'd almost bankrupt themselves doing it. So it's a case of they can't do it because they bankrupt themselves. Yes, they might get some real short-term success, but then they go out of business. They lose everything in the pursuit of overspending. So I look at it and think to myself, I just can't live in a world where the definition of success is you either win the big trophy in your country or you're a complete and utter failure. That's it, point blank, no nuance. I just can't agree with that. However, I agree with that is where you want your club to get to. That is the ultimate aim of your club. And when you support one of, I say, the top 6 in England as an example, all of our clubs are super rich. All of our clubs generate some of the top amounts of income out of all teams in the world. I think it's absolutely fine to have those standards on our clubs. I just don't think it's right to apply that standard to West Ham or apply that standard to Burnley. I genuinely don't believe that you can apply that standard. And this is the crazy
West Ham
thing.
winning the Conference League
is gargantuan.
Would be the equivalent of Arsenal winning the Premier League last season.
My brother told me this. So my brother's team's in League One, and they're not doing very well this year. They're not in relegation, but they're not doing very well. I said, a few months ago, they were on a good run. They were moving towards a playoff. I said, would you want to get promoted? He went, no, I don't want to get promoted. Now, people on Twitter would go, that's bad standards. It's not. They're such a small club. They make a loss every year anyway. I want to make sure I get this figure right. My brother told me how much. Let me Google this. How much money do championship clubs lose each year?
Are you talking about Leyton Orient?
Yeah. But in the championship, the league above, I'm just getting the number here. My brother will tell me. I'll have to text my brother because I forgot it. They're around 15. Most teams in the Championship lose around 15 million a year. Leyton Orient, if they were to go into that's just because of what you have to pay the players at that level versus what you can charge for people to come in versus the overarching cost of being in that league. Leyton Orient already lose about 3 million a year. If they were to lose 15 million in a year, they'd get out of business. So Leyton Orient getting promoted, as much as it sounds like an ambition to try and get to the top, they could theoretically bankrupt the football club by being more successful. So this is when I say, when everyone has this view of, well, just spend every penny you've got and try and win your league. Not every football club is built or in a position to be able to do that because it could kill their football club. And lacking that, when I saw this thread the other day of just like, we'll just spend what the big clubs spend. I just sit there and think that's like saying, go out and spend what a sheikh spends, Terry. Like telling a normal person to go out and spend like a billionaire. Just go and buy a house that a billionaire would buy. Live like a billionaire. If you ain't a billionaire, you can't do it. It's crazy. Like genuinely crazy to me that people have these
and
views.
Aston Villa, for example, as a football club, Aston Villa is a big football club and stuff. If you sat down right now with the Villa owner and told him right here, right now, would you rather win the Conference League or finish fourth in the Premier League? He's taking finish fourth all day, every day. And that's not because he doesn't want Aston Villa to win a trophy. That's because Aston Villa finishing in fourth place and getting Champions League football is considered massively successful to them. This is just the ultimate reality. So it's not, football is not just win a trophy and full stop. There's context for all these different clubs.
I agree.
All of these 20 clubs in the Premier League all have different contexts, different standards. Sheffield right now wants safety. Luton wants safety. Brentford maybe want to finish 9th, 8th, just top half. Brighton might want to win something. Villa want to finish top 4. Liverpool, City, Arsenal want to win the league. So these are the standards.
And it's all different. And it's like when a team first gets promoted, I don't expect a Premier League team, a promoted side, to spend every penny it's earned. I get trying to stay up makes sense. You could look at it that way. But these clubs have got to make themselves sustainable for the future as well. The thing is, I will say this. Someone here says Lee's standards are not real. So this is where I disagree. So I think Lee's standards for Arsenal are absolutely acceptable. And they're absolutely right in terms of what he wants them to win and what success looks like for them. The only thing I've ever disagreed with Leon, we might disagree on players that he thinks are good and I think are bad, or managers, etc. But the only thing I've disagreed with him on is that I believe you can celebrate the step changes and the progression of getting to that level from where they were. But what he thinks of Arsenal, so this is what I'd say, that his view on Arsenal is not wrong, in my opinion, in terms of his standards. What I do believe is wrong, though, is saying that those standards should apply to Luton, and those standards should apply to Leyton Orient, and those standards should apply to Accrington Stanley. I don't believe that is the case. So for me, it is what it is. And so back to the super chat that asked us the question. Anyway, we didn't bring this up. I don't think it's that people disagree per se with some of Lee's opinions. Of course, people will disagree with different views and opinions you've got. It's the monolithic approach that every club should be treated the same regardless of the scenario. That is where people disagree, in my personal opinion. But that's not a dig at Lee. People disagree with things I say. People disagree with things Husam say. It just is what it is. But that was the question. That was a super chat. Leyton Orient standards are in the mud if they don't expect Champions League football this year. But it's kind of true again. And I challenged. I said, why don't you guys want to get promoted? They went, their view is it could kill the football club long term based on how much money. And they're a tiny, again, and this is what I mean by taking it seriously. They're a tiny football club. They're a tiny football club. They've got more fans that sit at home, but 5,000, 6,000, 7,000 people a game watch them. Going up to that level could ruin them because the money isn't there. Now, if they were in the Championship, would you want to be in the Prem? Yes, because suddenly you're given, and this is where they would look at it, £150 million in TV money. Leyton Orient could get promoted to the Prem and go, do you know what? We don't want to spend a lot of it. We want to hold on to some of that money because having £80 million in the bank can safeguard us from going out of business for 30 years. So that is the success. It's because for some people, yes, they want to win trophies. But for some football clubs, we want to keep the club going. Like there's so many football clubs in England, and people are so naive to this. The people that are running are just trying to keep the club alive, let alone trying to win something. They're trying to keep it alive and from going out of business. So again, there is a wide spectrum when it comes to football clubs in the pyramid we have. And again, I think it depends on where you're from. Around the world, not every country has a pyramid of football like the UK. So therefore, you can't judge every country's systems in the same way. You just have to be open-minded to it, I think. Everyone here knows Lee's takes these days are just all mental gymnastics to prevent admitting that he was wrong about Arteta. Come on now.
Here's the thing, though, Jill. No? This season will be proven whether he's right or wrong. If Arteta leaves this season with a major trophy, then Lee was wrong. If Arteta leaves this season with no major trophy, Lee was right. This right here, this season specifically, is the season that shows us the story of the Arteta story.
Yes and no. Yes and no. If he finishes fourth, nowhere near the top, goes out in the last 16 in the Champions League, wins no trophies, yes. If they come second to say you guys get 95 points, they get 94, I'm making this up here, and they lose it narrowly in a Champions League finals of Real Madrid, I don't think that's proof that Arteta can't do it. That's go again. I think it is contextual, but you're right. If Arteta ends this season poorly and Arsenal win nothing, then yeah, you can ultimately say that he was right. However, the next guy could then come in and start winning straight away. But would that new elite manager have been able to win with the situation the club was in 4 years ago? I say this about Liverpool all the time. Would Klopp have been as successful as quickly as he was if Brendan Rodgers hadn't come in? If Klopp took over from the previous regime, it might have took longer to get to where he needed to get to because you started fixing problems. And I think that's why it's all about balance. But equally, I'll defend Lee on this 100%. Like Lee was back in Arteta the other day, surrounding not playing the youth and everything else. So I would say to people, again, Lee calls me out for it because I have a bit of a laugh and a joke with him, but watch more of his content. There's lots of times where he agrees with Arteta and praises what he does without sitting there saying, I love Arteta and I think he's great. So yeah, Lee wants a destination with no journey. But I think Lee understands there's got to be a journey. He just doesn't want to celebrate the journey. And that's his personal choice, I would say, on that. But
or Havertz's goals, to be fair.
Yeah, or Havertz's goals, which is so funny. But I wanted to speak to you about Arsenal. I wanted to speak about Arsenal because this has kind of gone under the radar a little bit, especially with rival fans. And I showed this to a few people earlier on today. They couldn't believe what they were reading. Arsenal Football Club, right now, in my opinion, are absolutely despised by the FA. And I've said it on a number of videos recently that I don't necessarily believe in conspiracy theories, but I definitely think the treatment of Mikel Arteta needed to be questioned. The treatment of Arsenal needed to be looked at. And what we saw last night was the announcement that he has beaten his case against the FA, the case that charged him for bringing football into disrepute over his comments when they were beaten by Newcastle, and essentially saying that it's a disgraceful decision in his opinion. And when you look through the documentation, which we'll go through now, this was heard by an independent committee for the break that the rule, FA Rule E3. It says here that Mikel Arteta was not at any time expressing a view about the behavior of match officials and making any implicit criticism of their performance, integrity, or impartiality. That Mikel Arteta's focus during the interview had, in part, been on the goal, but had a far larger part been on the deficient state of the VAR system and the processes at the time of its operation of Premier League matches. It also goes on here to state that Mikel Arteta did not at any point do anything that damages the that could damage the wider someone's wider interest in football, damage the image of the game, and also that his words could be misinterpreted to distribute or otherwise not be in the best interests of football. They concluded by saying that he was cleared, that he did not insult the match officials. Nothing was said by Mikel Arteta in any of the interviews that imply incompetence. He did not bring the game into disrepute. We're not detrimental and it was not detrimental to the best interest of the games. And it says, we therefore found the charge not proven and dismiss him of this charge. Now, that all sounds pretty normal. So all the things he was accused of by the FA weren't there. But it's the FA's argument that stands out to me and some of the proof that was delivered in this. During this process, it was demonstrated that prior to the Newcastle game, there was and this is what the FA said. I think they've done themselves in here. They've revealed their hand. They said we had an unholy, unproductive meeting with the with Mikel Arteta 2 days before the Newcastle game. So you're basically saying there's a terrible decision that's happened, and you're admitting that you had an unproductive meeting with him. They then said the FA unsuccessfully argued that Arteta was more worthy of punishment than other managers due to his high-profile status. So the FA said this, that because it's Mikel Arteta and it's Arsenal, we believe what he said is punishable. If it would have been Sean Dyche, if it would have been Vincent Kompany at smaller clubs, we wouldn't have charged him. Now, for me, reading that, it's like, so you are, I'm just reading between the lines maybe, but you're admitting that you've targeted Arteta for who he is and who he manages. And crazily enough, on top of that, Joe Willock told some of the Arsenal players after the game that the ball had gone out of play during that goal. So this is one of the reasons why Arsenal players and the manager said what they said, because Newcastle themselves, or the player that kept it in, was like, it went out, So in terms of saying it was a bad decision, they've got proof it was a bad decision. But the fact that the FA have openly admitted that they're targeting him, surely even as rivals of Arsenal, we have to look at this and be worried that they are admitting that they have an agenda against a particular individual. Because one day, that could be you, that could be me, that could be Liverpool, Man United. How crazy is it reading that, in your opinion?
Well, they definitely have an agenda against us with the amount of 12:30 kickoffs, to be fair. That game specifically, there's one image. Ian Wright tweeted this out. If this wasn't the football terrace, you would be thinking that I'm about to display a crazy video. This is the same one right here that they just said is not a foul. Look, I supported Arteta in the Arsenal-Newcastle game, just the same way I supported my manager in the Spurs game. I think the referee association, I think the referees are absolutely incompetent. Arteta, in that post-match interview that he got banned for and shit, just said everything that myself, Terry, and everyone in the chat has probably said, which is the Premier League referees are a disgrace, one of the worst referees, not the one of the worst, probably the worst referees probably in the whole world at this point, considering the levels and what's expected of them. So the Premier League referees continue to prove their incompetence. Just last Saturday, a penalty was given on Mateta and Kwanzaa, and 3 hours later, similar thing happened with Douglas Luiz, not a penalty given. There's no consistency. There's no standard of refereeing. They're making incompetent decisions week in, week out, to be honest with you. And here's the thing. Arsenal fans should be worried in terms of the agenda against their club, because this could be something now moving forward that referees have in the back of their minds. It could be something. It could be something definitely that they have in the back of their minds. Maybe the VAR referees in Stockley Park or whatever it's called, sitting there and looking at monitors and shit, are making biased decisions. That is a possibility, 100%. Listen, people are always like to act that referees are holier than holy, and they're always impartial and they're always unbiased and shit. That ain't true. That ain't true. Referees ain't ever been unbiased since the start of the sport. There's always been some sort of bias due to some sort of pressure. That's why we always mostly say, whenever it's like a Liverpool or a United or a City or a Chelsea or an Arsenal against the smaller clubs, usually the bigger clubs get the decisions, because the referees are more worried about a backlash if they fuck up a Chelsea decision than if they do a Sheffield decision. Because how many times, you want the prime example, how many times have Wolves been robbed this season? If we want to talk about the one club that need to be the most upset with refereeing decisions this whole season, 100% Wolves is number one. Wolves have been absolutely shafted this year, but no one cares because it's Wolves. If Arsenal, City, or Liverpool or Man United got as many fucked up decisions against them, go against them in high importance games like Wolves done this season, the referees will be absolutely lambasted. Look at Simon Hooper. Simon Hooper is a prime example right here, right there. The referee of the Liverpool Spurs game. He refereed that Liverpool Sheffield game, and anytime the camera looked at him, it's almost like he was shitting himself on the pitch. He was so scared to make any decision. And once again, he himself was inconsistent, because he's the same guy that sent off Curtis Jones for the tackle on Bissouma, but did not send off the Sheffield United player for the same exact tackle on McAllister, which was a follow-through that ended up stepping on McAllister. So this is the inconsistencies is a problem. There is massive inconsistencies in this league. In my opinion, the only club that so far this season has not had any decision go against them, any major decision, is Man City. I'm just saying, someone has to say it as it is. I don't think Man City have gotten any, difficult referee decisions to go against them. The other clubs have all been shafted, to be honest with you. And the lack of consistency is the biggest issue in this league, and it will continue to be so until the referees are trained. Let's stop blaming VAR. Let's stop blaming the system. What's VAR? VAR it stands for Video Assistant Referee, right? That's what it stands for. Video Assistant Referee. That's it. VAR is a system. It's cameras, it's lines, it's you using the same exact way to just essentially make your decisions better. I cannot blame a computer and lines for the referees being incompetent. You know why? Because the referees were shit even before VAR. And if VAR is cancelled tomorrow, this league will be an even worse disgrace than it currently is in terms of refereeing decisions. How many offsides have been given this season, which they came back and they're like, oh shit, that's actually not offside? How many onside have been given this season that's like, oh shit, that's offside? So for me, it's the referees. It's the referees that are the issue, not the system, not any of that. And Arsenal fans should be really worried right now. And they need to continue to escalate the situation. So do all the clubs, because the Premier League need to all fix this refereeing bullshit they got going on.
Again, what I would be now trying to investigate if I was Arsenal, just in relation to this situation, is, well, if you're telling us that you think Arteta's more worthy of a punishment because of the club he's at, what other decisions are you making that are based on the status and the profile of a football club? Because as far as I'm aware, like, I don't like how that's gone in society. I get it on Twitter. I've had people, like, I've tweeted that disagreed with me. I've just tweeted back politely disagreeing with them, and I get DMs saying, "Bruv, man, you're bullying me." How am I bullying you? Well, you responded to my tweet to you, and now people that follow you, because you've got lots of followers, are giving me shit.
Oh, I know what you.
And I've had a lot of this, and I always message them the same thing, and I just say I'm not accountable for what other people say to you. But this has been something that's been perpetuated on social media for a long time now, and it's got into the mindset of individuals. Yes, I've got more followers than a lot of people, but there's people out there that got more followers than me. It isn't down to the person with more followers to, like, if you're saying things that are completely wrong. So if you've got 1 million people follow you and you're giving out terrible advice around healthcare or what, eat, this is how you should cook chicken, but the way you're doing it could kill people. I can imagine you being called out for that, but not for turning around and having a simple disagreement with somebody. That is never an incitement to anything. But we live in this kind of victimhood mentality world now where everything's twisted in that way. And what the FA have tried to do is use that victimhood mentality of, well, Mikel Arteta is at one of the biggest clubs who have a huge social media presence. So him disrespecting us in their eyes, this sort of weird arrogance and hubris view they have of themselves. If Mikel Arteta does it, it's worse than another manager of a smaller club or a club with a smaller social media presence. It's nonsense. It doesn't matter.
So if Chris Wilder does it this Saturday, it's okay because it's Chris Wilder. But if I don't know, Pep Guardiola does it, it's a problem because it's Pep Guardiola.
Exactly. And again, so my view is this is where it's got to be a worry for people. If you're turning around and saying that you're making certain decisions based on the size of the club, is that happening on the pitch? Is that happening with penalty decisions? Is that happening with close offsides? Is that what else? Where else are you applying this bias based on the size of your football club or the size of your presence? This shouldn't happen in any walk of life. It doesn't matter for me, right? If me and you commit the same crime, they're like, well, Terry, you've got a bit more money in the bank account than Husam. You've got more followers online than him. Therefore, you should get in more trouble for committing this crime. It's like, no, we've done exactly the same thing. If there's an abuse of power, then that's different. But Mikel Arteta is doing nothing that other managers don't do. And they've literally said, we think he deserves a punishment more than them because he's a higher profile manager. And for me, that's crazy, bro. That is crazy. Crazy.
It is crazy. And look, by the way, I'm glad Arteta called them out. So was I when my manager did it, and I hope more managers continue to call it out. I see the Wolves manager going like, I could do two things here. I could complain and it wouldn't really change anything, or I could just get on with it. Yeah, but how long would you get on with it for? Like, okay, we could take it if it's like a mistake every 10 games or some shit. But the problem is they're making mistakes a lot. And the problem is they're actually making a lot of mistakes in high caliber games as well when you think of it.
Yeah.
Like the City-Chelsea games and multiple big games this season in which they've made fucked up decisions. Liverpool-Spurs, in terms of like with VAR, absolute worst disgrace of a game right there. So look, there are too much is going on. The Arsenal Villa game, for example, that happened this week. I don't think Arsenal manufactured their own downfall, because Odegaard, Saka, and Martinelli for me were just shit in that game and they needed to do better. But at the same time, Arsenal fans are right to also say we did deserve a penalty, because 3 hours ago, Quanta literally did the same shit to Mateta and a penalty was given, even though it took 5 hours to check. They gave a penalty. So look, there is a problem with the lack of consistency, and I hope more and more referees call out this English Premier League referee garbage, because if I bring referees from the local Jordanian league, they do better than the ones in the Premier League with ease, and I can guarantee that. And it's getting to the stage now where I just think like it's just too much. It's just too much. Week in, week out, there's a fucked up decision that some idiotic referee makes, and this is the problem. Like we're all probably gonna watch Liverpool United this Sunday. None of us would be surprised if there is a fucked up decision that goes in Liverpool's favor, because it's at Anfield and the ref might shit himself.
No, I agree. And you want it to be about the football. Some super chats here. O'Malley says the bias was made clearer when Arteta got a yellow for celebrating. Then Wilder runs down the sideline last week and got nothing. Yeah, there we go. Exactly. Lee's standards are 06 Arsenal. We're not there anymore and have to get back to it. Come in second, challenging again and won a Champions League group. Progression matters. I agree. Yes. Arteta suspended for celebrating at Luton. Yeah, I mean, that was I've seen the footage back of that. He didn't even really leave his technical area. He just celebrated. And I can't believe he's booked for that. It's crazy. Now they're admitting they've got an agenda against him. So that makes sense. Would you guys take City winning the Champions League if it meant that you get in the Champions League after finishing 5th? What signing should all Arsenal and Liverpool make in January?
That's a question for Terry, the first part.
Yeah. No, I don't want them winning the Champions League again. It's just no.
I don't want City to win the Premier League. I don't want City to win anything. Fuck Manchester City. Unfortunately, I do think they'll win the Champions League, though. The only team that can stop them is Real Madrid. In terms of what signings should Arsenal and Liverpool make, I see a couple of Arsenal, including Troops. I know he also watches the show sometimes as well. Who says they want Palhinha. I don't think Palhinha suits what Arsenal trying to do. I think more it's Douglas Luiz that suits Arsenal. Yes, I think Douglas Luiz suits Arsenal.
He looks so good against
He's
Arsenal.
So much better footballer. So much of a better footballer than Palhinha. Palhinha is actually, and I'm not saying this out of bias, I'm just being dead serious. I think Palhinha suits Liverpool because that's exactly what we need. We just need a tackler, a destroyer in there. With Arsenal, you need someone more to build up. You need a better footballer in the midfield than we do.
Yeah, they've got Declan Rice to sit in that 6 role. So yeah,
exactly. So Douglas Luiz makes more sense for them.
Arsenal, I'd love him at United.
Need a striker this summer. Look, these two clubs. I'm gonna just say it right now. I know I don't want to give a long ass answer to the super chat, but here's the thing. Big up to you, Cooler. But for me, this January transfer window will dictate who wins the English Premier League. Liverpool sign a DM and a centre back, we win it. Arsenal sign a midfielder and a striker, they win it. City, might go ahead and sign players as well. Then they put themselves in a better position to win it as well. So this January window is going to be important. If we sign a DM and a centre back, I'll come on this football terrace, this straight fact show, and say we're going to win the league, inshallah. So it's important. So for you, Ivan Toney, perfect striker for Arsenal, alongside a Douglas Luiz is what you need to win the league.
Manny here says Arteta has had to get a criminal defense lawyer to clear him of his wrongdoing. Remember, De Zerbi directly said he hates the refs in England. FA can hold that. Exactly. It's great. And by the way, if De Zerbi becomes a Man United manager and says that, then he gets banned. So again, that shows a clear bias. And I said
because it matters more, basically.
Yeah, it's like no, rules are rules. I don't again. I said if there's an abuse of power. So if somebody works for a bank and they commit fraud and rob the customers, that should get more of a punishment than an outsider defrauding people because you're abusing a position of power. But that's not what football managers are doing. They're not abusing their power, in my personal opinion. Arsenal should smell blood this season and do what is required in January. They genuinely could win the double because the quality in Europe isn't great at the moment.
This is where I needed to chill. Arsenal cannot win the Champions League this season. Because the Champions League is won in moments and you need game changers. Arsenal don't have enough of that. I think Man City and Real Madrid are in a caliber of their own. I think Atletico would beat Arsenal. Inter would beat Arsenal, in my opinion. But then you look at the other clubs, that's where it's going to... I think Arsenal could beat Bayern, but Bayern have more game changers, in my opinion. So when it comes to Champions League, Arsenal fans need to chill a little bit. because you need to develop more and more and more and more, and allow the players to become game winners. They're not at that stage yet. And big up to Nillet, pal, because I read that when he sent it, and I wanted to say it. City fans hate on me because, let me not say why. You know, I'm gonna take it a higher road. Let me not say why they hate me, but by the way, Pep and Haaland were never charged post-game. They were not charged in that Spurs City game, but Virgil van Dijk was charged and banned an extra game for telling the referee to fuck off. But Haaland undoing his hair and shouting at the referee and saying it's a disgrace, no charge. Pep Guardiola, no charge. Jurgen Klopp does it, charge directly. That's why I said earlier on, I'm not lying. City have not had a single decision go against them this season. So it's just how it goes. Like, I'm not making shit up. Man United is my biggest enemy, my biggest rival. I can clearly say that Man United have had decisions go against them this season, like the Crystal Palace goal that shouldn't have stood because there was a player in Onana's way. I admit, even when United get shit happened against them, but so far this season for Manchester City, I'm sorry, decisions have always went their way. So I cannot say all get shafted. I'll say 19 get shafted. So yeah.
Husam, Liverpool get a centre back and a DM, and Arsenal get a midfielder and a striker. If you both get it, then who wins?
Fuck. We both get it. Fucking hell, I don't even know how to answer that question right there. That will be a title race right there. We both get it.
It depends who you both get. I think that's the answer. It's who you get. It's who you both get. Because we don't it's what
I'd
level.
probably say us because of our world-class players. That's what I'd say. Salah, Van Dijk, Alisson, and Trent have been there, done that.
Speaking of Liverpool,
I've been waiting. Let's go.
Yeah. How do you see this weekend going?
I've never seen Terry. Yo, camera, focus. Hello, camera. Listen, I've never seen Terry this depressed to segue to a segment his whole fucking life. I will start out by calling out the Liverpool fan base a little bit. All the people going like, Husam, don't jinx it. Oh my God, Man United won't be easy. Stop moving like a pussy and grow a pair. Grow a pair and say it as it is. Who will fight for Manchester United this Sunday? I now want to be worried about Man United. They're about to go to war at Anfield with 7,000 extra people as well, because the upper stand's been opened. So with 7,000 extra people, they're about to go to war on Anfield this Sunday. Name one player in that United team who is ready to go to war and fight. I know, by the way, the complacency that the fans are showing, including myself and others, please don't think that that will be shown by Jurgen Klopp and the players, because Jurgen Klopp is a very professional manager. He knows how to remove complacency from the players' heads. There'll be no such thing as complacency. I think this Sunday it's going to be a bloodbath, because Man United cannot win. If they park the bus, we'd win. And if they want to attack us, we'd win even more. So it's like, we're winning regardless this Sunday. And I've never been less worried in my entire life about a Liverpool United game at Anfield. I look at that United team. I know Ten Hag's come under a lot of criticism recently, and rightfully so. He deserves criticism, but some of these players, man, Leopards don't change their spots. They let down Ranić, they let down Oli, some of them let down Mourinho, some of them even as far back as David Moyes letting people down, letting down Van Gaal. They've let down so many managers. I doubt they're going to change, from now. If Manchester United magically get Pep Guardiola in tomorrow, they still cannot win this Sunday, because these players are not ready to come to war. These players are not ready to come to Anfield and do something. This is the thing. And the reality is, I just don't see no way out for Man United this Sunday. And when you're talking about he's probably going to ask my prediction later. I could just say it now. I predicted Liverpool to win 6-0. Yesterday, my prediction, so I said Liverpool going to win 6-0. And I'm not even bantering. I just do not see a way out for Manchester United in this game. All the main players were rested yesterday in the Europa League game, other than, I don't even think Gakpo starts this Sunday anyway, or Elliott or Jones. So we should be good to go. So, look, Man United have no player to turn up. And actually, Man United haven't scored a goal at Anfield since 1819, since Jose Mourinho. So, I think Man United are just going to get humiliated this Sunday, to be honest with you. And I've got nothing to be worried about, because there's always someone. There was always someone. Growing up, when Man United were really good and we were worse than them, first of all, we always had players who at least fought for the shirt despite them not being good enough. And we had a game winner in Stevie G. We had maybe a game winner in Fernando Torres and Suarez, stuff like that. So you could go like, okay, player X could win it for us. And LB made a point, and I know he's probably going to make it later on the top 6 show. Make sure you don't go anywhere after this stream. Go watch the top 6 show as well. He made a point to me. He's like, okay, Husam, I want to assume, because he's in a title race with Liverpool, I want to assume, let's say Man United are to get a win. Which player for Man United I'm supposed to look at and go like, okay, he's going to step up in this big moment at Anfield? The problem is there is no one right now to step up for you. So, yeah, if you play FPL, triple captain Salah. That would be my honest advice. 16 GA in 12 games against them. Just triple captain Mo Salah. You will thank me for this advice, because whether it's Diego Dallo or Sergio Reguilon, it's going to be a long-ass day on that left-hand side. So I am showing class. I am being humble. This is me being humble. You know how I can be an asshole if I say 8-0. I said 6-0 just because I want to complete the set. Because 3 is there, 4 is there, 5 is there, and 7 is there. So I feel bad for the number 6 because it ain't there yet. So I just want the number 6 to be present in our history of results. So big up. And you know I meant every single word. Terry has been working with me for a while. He knows when I'm bantering and he knows when I'm being for real. I actually am genuinely not worried at all. There is not a single player that intimidates me in that whole United team. Like, I want Terry to go like, you know what, Husam, we might be able to get something. There is hope. But if he does that, I just want him to name me the player who will step up in this big moment. Hey, it's your turn, Terry. It's your turn. You want me to continue to cook your club? I can't, to be honest with you. I can sit here for the next half an hour and chat shit about Man United, to be honest with you. So, hey, I'm
not silent. I just gave my preview. That's it. There's nothing to say.
You know what made me even more confident?
What I'm going to say is this. What I'll say is this. I don't disagree with 99.9% of what you've said. You guys are a better team than us. We've got no fight. We've got lots of players out. We're in absolute disarray. I'm surprised the manager is still here. This group, having been beat 7-0 there last time, you want to go into this game with confidence. You want to go into this game feeling good about yourselves to try and rectify that and kind of blow those cobwebs away, get those skeletons out the closet and grow. We haven't been the same team since you beat us 7-0. We haven't recovered from that as a football club and as a team. And it could be really, really peak for us. It could be. And I'm not going to sit here. Look, of course, there's always a chance we get something, but I think to get something out this game, we would need decisions to go our way. And we would need Liverpool to have one of their worst performances in many, many years. It would take Liverpool being, I don't think we're good enough to be so good we nullify you. You guys need to be awful. And then we probably need some mistakes at the back. Alisson passes the ball straight to Højlund and he taps it in. Or, Trent has a bad Trent game defensively. And we need some own goals, red cards, and you guys to be bad to genuinely believe it would have to go like that for us to get anything. So, of course, there's a possibility that could happen. But if all things being equal, I hate saying this as a Man United fan, but I can't sit here and lie. I don't see us winning. What I will say is this. If you don't beat us, in fact, if you were to lose to us even 1-0, I genuinely believe that would be more embarrassing than the beating you gave us last year. Because where we are with the fact that Liverpool fans have been coming on this platform, I don't know about others, for 3 months, and I can't wait for the 17th of December. If you lose the game, it's one of the biggest L's you've taken in the Klopp era. So I would say that's the one thing I would be a little concerned about as a Liverpool fan is with all this chest and all this noise, if you don't win, I'm talking, if you lost, I'm talking sackable offence here. That's how bad it is for Jurgen Klopp.
No, but Jurgen Klopp doesn't represent us. We don't represent Jurgen Klopp. That's the problem if I was Jurgen Klopp, then you'd have a chance this Sunday. Because
Jurgen Klopp has come out today and said basically stop disrespecting Man United because he knows how the football gods work. And I actually was researching. I was researching the football gods the other day, and I want to ask you this question because I read about it, but I don't want to misrepresent it. In the Quran, there are passages about the pride before the fall, right?
Yes.
And I researched, I don't want to say what they are because I don't want to, like the internet gives you interpretations, and I don't want to read what the internet has said in case it's wrong because it's not my religion. But the Quran has it, the Bible has it. When you read the definitions around the pride before the fall, it's basically what the football gods are. When too many people give it the big one and are overconfident, sometimes the Lord or Allah, whoever it may be that you worship out there in the world, they can pull the rug from under your feet. So I am hoping, I am praying. This guy's here. What is Terry talking about? I'm talking about absolute facts, brother. This isn't made up. So I'm just saying, because a few people recently have said, I don't like the idea of the football gods because I've got a god. It exists within religion. I just called it the football gods because it's a little bit of fun. The point is this. That's my only hope. That is my hopium. That Liverpool fans have become so convinced they win that it seeps into the dressing room, complacency sets in, and Liverpool come a cropper to it. But that's like...
Yeah, but that's the fan, though. That's not Klopp. That's the thing.
No, I know.
For you
I believe it's all the same. I believe it's all the same.
No. Me, Tom Little, Jerry James, the Liverpool fans that come on this platform are not the same as Jurgen Klopp. Jurgen Klopp will not allow complacency to set into the players. This is the thing. And people say shit like, footballs are humbler and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but once again, let's speak logically here, even without agendas. Which player is going to step up for Manchester United? Who's the one guy that I'm going to look at this Sunday and go like, you know what? I'm actually afraid of said player.
No. Listen, the only way that happens, again, I don't believe it will. The only way it happens is if I'm looking at the team that, look, if Rashford played like last season, he could. If Højlund has a Champions League performance, barring the Bayern Munich one, he could. Amrabat, we know, has got a performance in him. Outside of that, everybody else is injured, so that or suspended. So we haven't even got like Eriksen to bring into the 10 role instead of Bruno because he's injured. So actually, Donny van der Beek won't play. It's just been announced he's going to Frankfurt, so he won't kick a ball. No, he wasn't going to play.
I thought he was going to replace Bruno on the team.
No, he can't play in the Premier League. So yeah, I just look at it that. No, and Terry pulled out the Quran. No, I didn't. I was just trying to stay, and I stand by it. A lot of people recently have said I don't. I've actually had people DM me, brother, saying I don't know whether or not I should. One of my good followers and viewers, he's a member, was like, I don't know if it's haram for me to say things like football gods. And I just said I sent in this passage I read, and I said, I told him I didn't know if this is the right thing to do or not. I felt like it was. I said, go and speak to your imam about it. I said, because I don't want you saying things for banter if it's wrong in your religion, like Jesus. So it's not a card I'm putting out.
We can't claim there is more than one God. That's
exactly. So I said to him, I said, just don't say that. Just say it.
You could say like you're hurting, like you're indirectly hurting your chances by being arrogant or something, but I cannot say.
Yeah. That's what I was kind of trying to say to him. Like I said, I know there's stuff within. I said, maybe say it more like this because I read this because it does exist, and it comes from. I asked my dad about it. My dad's always said the football gods, and my dad said, well, that was when he was younger. Like my nan, who was very religious, she was an evangelical Christian. She used to basically like quote Bible passages to my dad if he was getting too arrogant, and my dad just used to call it football gods again. That's where it came from. So yeah, that's all I'm saying. So yeah, man.
And there's one thing I want to say as well. For this whole thing, like with Jurgen Klopp. Like I've seen Liverpool when we were really, really, really good, and we just kept winning games because he doesn't allow complacency to set in. Man United fans, actually, the reason why they probably wanted Klopp at their club before he came to us is he's a very good motivator in terms of like how he speaks to players and shit. And I don't think the players are gonna have that complacency. And the one thing that gives me extra confidence is actually not your recent Premier League game, your recent Champions League game against Bayern Munich. You know why? Sometimes we say stuff like, Bayern Munich won the game in second gear. I believe Bayern won that game in neutral. That was actually genuinely, like, yes, it was 1-0, but it was actually really embarrassing because Man United just did not look like they belong in the same competition as Bayern Munich. And that's the worrying part. Like, the first game, the 4-3, you're like, yo, Bayern Munich don't even look that good. But now that 1-0 game, I'm like, yo, that's crazy. So for me, all I'm saying is, look, in order for me to be worried, like there needs to be someone that I look at this Sunday on the opposition lineup and go like, oh shit, he could cause us problems, he could do this, he could do that, he could be a game changer. But I look at that Man United team, the fact that Varane and Evans are playing as the centre-back partnership, the fact they've got Dalot, the fact they've got Wan-Bissaka, the midfield, Mainu is probably as talented as he is, at Anfield, that won't be good enough. Amrabat,
I want him to start. I want him to start. Kobe will be one of the only players who puts in a performance that we're proud of. I'm telling you. Even when he came on against Bayern, just 2 or 3 passes and touches from him, the class that he has. And it's funny, really, because again, I've had this argument with United fans online. I'm not stating we shouldn't buy better than Kobe, but I still think he should be part of the group. You know, he's better technically than all our other midfield players, and he's 18 years old, and just see it straight away. We have some super chats here.
The system will allow him to display that.
Oh yeah, I mean, yes. I mean, everybody's systems allow players to display their class on the ball. I don't think that would stop him, but it will just be it'll be a shining light in an otherwise awful performance. And again, some people will call me a fake United fan for not backing my team, but it isn't backing your team predicting things that are completely implausible. And I want to win. As much as I don't back this manager anymore with all the things he's told us, I want to win. In fact, I don't back the manager anymore, but I want to be wrong. I want him in the medium to long term to prove me wrong, to start winning, to galvanize this team, because all I actually want, I don't want to be right. I want Man United to be successful. And if it means my predictions are wrong, but my club are successful, I'm just going to celebrate. I'm all in. There is no agenda. But I cannot see a scenario other than the one I've painted where you guys make 2 or 3 catastrophic mistakes, maybe get a player sent off, and everybody up the other end misses all your chances. That's the only way we grab anything. Like genuine. You know, when Arsenal beat you, I want to say it was 2-0, it might have been 1-0. It might be 2-0 or 2-1, but they only had like 1 shot on target in the whole game and beat you 2-0. It was the thing. It might have been just after lockdown, and it was like I think you guys scored an own goal, then they scored another one on the counter attack, and I think they beat you 2-0 or 2-1. But they only had 1 shot on target the whole game, but scored 2 goals. It's going to need to be
when we won the league in 1920. After the COVID break.
Yeah,
Reece
it would
Nelson,
need.
I think, scored that game.
I want to say Lacazette did, but anyway, but by the by, that's the only way we win it. It would have to be a game where you keep missing your chances and we just get very lucky at the other end. I cannot see this isn't going to be Juanfield where we outplay you, have more possession, dominate you, beat you. Anyone who thinks Man United are capable of doing that.
Once again, when you mention Juanfield,
wrong.
This goes back to something. Look, like. First of all, if this was at Old Trafford, I'd be like a bit more cautious. But the fact that it's at Anfield fills me with confidence. And the second thing is, you just mentioned Juanfield, right? In that time with Louis van Gaal, you had 3-4 players that you could hang your hat on. You could say, Mata is going to be the difference for us today. Even your defense would have been the difference. David De Gea at that time was one of the best, if not the best goalkeeper in the world. You had players that me as a Liverpool fan would be worried about. But my thing is, when I look at this current Man United team, and listen, LB is going to make you that point later on, but I completely agree with it. Who's going to step up? This is the thing. Like, who am I supposed to look at in that 11 Man United team and go like, okay, I'm going to go to war, follow me. The same way, how many shit teams have you seen Liverpool come to Old Trafford and give you a game because Stevie G is in there? Or because a player makes a difference for us.
I cannot agree with you more. And that's why it's painful for me. But I'm not going to sit here and create an argument that I don't think exists. Let's do some super chats here. This one says Liverpool signs Maguire and Paulinia equals champs as per Husam.
Nope. DM and a centre back of quality. Have some shame, Deacon.
I say 3-0. Happy birthday. Yeah, it's my birthday as well, Sunday. So
yeah, it's going to be my birthday on Sunday as well. I feel so fucking...
I know, right? I know. Terry, do United need a dog? What breed would you sign? I've just bought a German Shepherd puppy recently. We need German Shepherds because we need guard dogs. We need to be protected from all the problems at our football club. We need guard dogs is what we need. Although we play like we're poodles. As an American, I hope Leon puts Kobe to sleep this weekend. What do you guys have? Do you follow UFC?
Yes, but not recently. I've stopped watching kind of recently.
Okay. Look, it's a weird one, right? I want Leon Edwards to win because he's a Brit. I want Leon Edwards to win because I like a lot about him. I like his fighting style. Part of me though wants Kobe to win because Kobe fight weeks are just a madness, and I enjoy the circus that surrounds it. And if he loses, he'll fade away. And I do feel like the UFC is losing a number of its characters. I don't agree with half the things he says. I think what he said to Leon Edwards, his father, was unfortunately killed many years ago. And in the press conference, Kobe turned around to him and said, I'm going to take you to like a deep level of hell during that fight. You better be prepared. And Leon said something like, yeah, we'll just go for it. And he went, yeah, we're going to be so deep in hell, we might say hi to your father while we're down there. and it went off. And I'm like, oh my God, you can't say these things. At the same time, whether you like it or hate it, it makes the fights more exciting. So I don't like the way Kobe behaves per se, but in terms of it makes it an even bigger spectacle. But yeah, I want Leon to win overall. But and I think Leon's going to knock him out. I think Leon will knock him out in this fight. Husam took his pants off for this Liverpool United segment.
My pants are still on. You get me? I don't want to show it on camera, but yeah, my pants are still on right now. Don't worry, you're good.
Terry, I think you mean pride when you say God.
Yeah, that's what he explained. He's basically talking about the ego before the game and stuff.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you could call it, too much football pride. Of course, we know what I'm alluding to, though. Liverpool should be scared of Garnacho and Højlund's pace. Liverpool should not take United for granted. I see a United win. Stop it, Chike. You made me smile, but I don't want to get...
He's an Arsenal fan. That's why. There's an ulterior motive.
Okay. Listen, I hope we do win. And if we win, I will be celebrating shamelessly, like we've just won the league. But I don't know if we will. I hope so. I hope we do. Will there be a disclaimer? For what? I don't know. For what?
Match video. She's basically saying, Debbie, by the way, has been telling me, like, on my channel and on here as well, like that day, she's expecting a big win. So she's like, maybe you need to have an 18+ match reaction. Just make sure they sign in. Say 18+.
Terry, my brother, with the way these Liverpool fans are behaving, if United somehow scrape a win, you need to be... I will be. If it happens. I mean, I've got clips of Husam and Tom from September saying they can't wait for this game. We're going to smash them easy. So they'll be getting it. But I'm not even editing that video yet, because normally I edit videos ahead of time so I can get them out, but I will wait. I'm not tempting no fate. I'm being nice to the football gods, although they fucking hate me right now. I don't know why, what I've done, that they're ruining me. Husam called it on Ten Hag sacking after the Liverpool game. Lol, spot on. Happy early birthday, my friend. Wish you health, most importantly. Thank you very much. I mean, look, it could end up being a saving grace if he goes and Ineos come in and we get a better manager.
Hey, we helped you with Mourinho. We helped you with Ranić. We helped you with Oli. Might as well help you with Ten Hag.
This year says rival fans are mad when Arsenal fans say that they can win the Champions League. It's crazy that we should not believe. Why being a fan if you are not allowed to dream?
No one's asking you to not dream, Enigma, but we're also saying recognize where you're at as a club. You need players to develop to get to those levels. Your players ain't been to the Wanda Metropolitano. Your players ain't been to the Santiago Bernabeu. They ain't been to these big stadiums, big away stadiums in Europe where the atmosphere is rocking and you're shitting yourself. Like, I think if the Arsenal players just hear the Real Madrid anthem, they'd already be shitting their pants. So this whole, like, Arsenal, if you want to say you want to win the league, fair enough. If you want to say, maybe your 4th, 5th favorite to win the Champions League, fair enough. But what you cannot claim is say you're going to win the Champions League when there's Real Madrid in the competition, when there's Manchester City in the competition, when there's multiple different clubs who have been there, done that. So you just need to chill. Like, listen, Thierry Henry couldn't do it for your club. Freddie Ljungberg, Robert Pires, Sol Campbell, Patrick Vieira, and you still didn't win the Champions League. That tells you how hard it is to win that competition. So, yeah, you need players to develop. Give Saka time, give Martinelli time, give Odegaard time, give all these people time, and we'll see if they can win it. But I just think it's too early now. You don't play with the predictions. Shaik, you know how many wrong predictions you done made, brother? Talking about you don't play with your predictions. This guy got one prediction right, and that's Chelsea beating Newcastle, or Newcastle beating Chelsea, sorry. And he's been on it ever since, talking about that. You know how many predictions this guy got wrong? This guy probably got 15 predictions wrong. So just because you went 1 out of 15 doesn't mean you're a good predictor, my brother.
Also, why is he calling you my love?
Habibi is not necessarily my love. It depends on the context. You could say Habibi mid-fight. Yes, it depends on tone and context.
I was told it meant my love. Okay, there we go. I was like, Chike's.
So if my wife were to call me Habibi, it also depends on the context she says it. Mid-fight, you could be like, Habibi, what are you saying? Like, if she wants to fight me type thing.
We have words like that in England as well. I'll say them off camera. That can mean, depending on who you say it to and how you say it, they mean completely different things. I like that. Okay, I understand now. I like being educated on new things. It's great. Listen, I want to thank everybody that has tuned in today. We are live at 6 p.m. for the top 6 show. And after Spurs play tonight. I actually forgot they were playing until this morning. So make sure 5 o'clock. Or we'll have at 5.
No, 6.
Oh, we'll have at 5. No, we'll have at 5 tonight. We'll have at 5. Sorry, I didn't even know. I don't know when my own shows are on. So we are live at 5 tonight. So make sure you are all tuning in. That stream is already ready and is already set up. So get across to it now. We're live in like half an hour's time. Until next time, take care. Goodbye. God bless.